Right now, somewhere in your kitchen, there is probably a banana going soft on the counter. You will throw it away in a few days. Your ancestors would have eaten it anyway, even after it turned, even after it started to ferment. Because the truth is, you were built to crave the thing rotting fruit becomes. Long before there was beer, long before there was wine. There was an accident in the jungle canopy, millions of years ago. And that accident rewired the primate brain forever. Picture a forest floor littered with overripe fruit, hot air, wild yeast drifting on the breeze, sugar turning into ethanol, slowly, naturally, with no human involved at all. This is fermentation. It happens whether anyone wants it to or not. And for early primates scrambling through the undergrowth, that fermented fruit wasn't garbage. It was food. Food that smelled stronger. Food that was easier to find in the dark or under leaf litter. Food that, it turned out, made them feel something new. The biologist Robert Dudley studies this exact moment in evolutionary history. He calls it the drunken monkey hypothesis. His research suggests that roughly 10 million years ago, a genetic mutation in the ancestors of humans, gorillas, and chimpanzees dramatically increased how efficiently their bodies could break down ethanol. 40 times more efficient, almost overnight in evolutionary terms. Why would evolution favor that? Because the primates who could process alcohol fastest were the ones who could safely eat the most fermented fruit. And fermented fruit meant more calories, more often, in an unpredictable world. You inherited that mutation. It still lives in your liver today. So somewhere in deep prehistory, your ancestors were not avoiding alcohol. They were chasing it, not for a buzz, for survival. The smell of fermentation became a signal that meant energy was nearby. That instinct didn't disappear when humans stood upright and started building fires. It just found new outlets. Fast forward to the Neolithic. Humans are no longer foraging fallen fruit. They are farming grain. And something strange starts showing up in the archaeological record. The biomolecular archaeologist Patrick McGovern has spent decades analyzing residue scraped from ancient pottery shards. In a site in China called Jiahu, dating back roughly 9,000 years, his lab identified chemical traces of a fermented beverage made from rice, honey, and hawthorn fruit. Not water storage, not food storage, a drink. Deliberately made, deliberately stored. This is some of the earliest known evidence of intentional alcohol production on Earth. Around the same era, archaeologist Li Liu and her team examined stone mortars at Raqefet Cave in Israel and found evidence consistent with brewing beer from wild wheat and barley, more than 13,000 years ago, before agriculture had even fully taken hold. Before bread, in some interpretations, there may have been beer. Stop and sit with that for a second. Why would a species on the edge of survival with no guaranteed harvest spend precious grain on something that didn't just feed the body? Because alcohol never just fed the body. It fed something else. Fermented drinks lower inhibition. They quiet the parts of the brain responsible for social anxiety and self-monitoring. In small, controlled amounts, they make strangers feel less threatening. They make groups bond faster. Some researchers argue this is exactly why early alcohol production clusters around the same time period as the rise of larger, more complex human settlements. You cannot build a village out of people who are too suspicious of each other to cooperate. Alcohol, shared deliberately at gatherings, may have been one of the social glues that made permanent communities possible in the first place. Think about Göbekli Tepe, the massive stone structure built in modern-day Turkey roughly 11,000 years ago, long before anyone had built a city. Some archaeologists have proposed that ritual feasting there, possibly involving fermented beverages, helped pull scattered hunter-gatherer groups together long enough to haul multi-ton stones into place. A drink, shared in a circle, may have helped build one of the first monuments in human history. But there is a darker thread running through this same story. Not everyone's body handles alcohol the same way. A genetic variant common in parts of East Asia produces a flushing reaction, nausea, and discomfort after drinking. Researchers studying this mutation, sometimes called the ALDH2 deficiency, believe it likely persisted in certain populations precisely because it discouraged heavy drinking, protecting communities where unchecked consumption may have carried higher costs. Evolution wasn't just shaping who could enjoy alcohol, it was also shaping who couldn't, and maybe for good reason. So when your ancestors first tasted alcohol, whether it was a chimpanzee-like primate biting into a fermenting fig, or a Neolithic farmer fermenting the first batch of grain, they weren't discovering a vice. They were discovering a tool. A tool for finding calories. A tool for calming nerves. A tool for building trust between strangers who needed each other to survive. Now look at your own life. The work happy hour. The wedding toast. The bottle of wine opened because today was hard, and you wanted to feel less alone in feeling it. None of that is new. It is the same ancient mechanism, wearing modern clothes, the same 40-million-year-old liver enzyme, the same impulse to lower the walls between you and the people around you. You didn't inherit a bad habit. You inherited a 10-million-year-old survival strategy that never got the memo that the famine ended. And maybe that banana on your counter isn't garbage either. Maybe it's a message from something very old in you, still waiting to see what you'll do with it.